We've been speaking a lot about the angels, and recently in particular, the guardian angel and his role. And one of the things that we think about most relative to the guardian angel, of course, is that he wards off danger, that he protects us from danger. That's why we call him a guardian. Now, we spoke about the ways in which he does that relative to demons and to sin, but also, of course, he does it even with our body, to protect us from falling into physical harm. Also part of his charge. You have the story, of course, of St. Peter, who was in prison and is released by an angel. That God saves him, not by virtue of just having the entire place implode or disappear, but by virtue of an angel. Isn't that interesting, that the mediation of an angel to go to Peter to say, get up, the door opens and he comes with him. This way in which the angels assist us to avoid all kinds of physical harm. Not always, but sometimes, depending upon, again, the governance of God. The angel also incites the soul to good, as we said, counteracts any kind of malevolent activity, and presents our prayers before God and joins his own prayers to them in his intercession. So let's talk about a few stories relative to guardian angels. And everyone has them, and I perhaps have more than my fair share, only because of my own stupidity. Oftentimes, ever since I was a kid, I threw myself into situations I should never have been in. The first one I recall, very, very young, is I didn't have my seatbelt on. I think I was 3, which wasn't my fault in this case. And the next thing I remember is I'm in a hospital, but I went through the windshield and landed on the hood of my father's car, and I was unharmed. How does that happen? The next one, I was on top of my sister's handlebars in a bike, and I remember falling off of it and falling on the pavement of the highway, and a car went right by, and I remember seeing the tire go right by my face. Crazy. How does that happen? Another time, I was much older. I was hiking with a priest friend of mine, and I was on top of this rock that I climbed up on top of a mountain, and I'm looking around, and behind me was the edge of the cliff, and I simply forgot which way was which as I was looking around up at the beautiful vista. And I went to sit down, but at this point my back was actually facing the empty airspace of the cliff and not the rock behind me. And so I went to sit down, and all I remember is falling, and then the next thing I remember was sitting on the rock facing the right direction. And my priest friend was the most astounded, because I just assumed it was, part of my great athleticism that put me back in the right place in the right way. And he says he saw me fall back, turn around, and sit down. And he says, that's not possible. You could not have done that. I think the most amazing one, personally for me, was I was hiking again, stupidly, and I began to free climb and to try to get out of this ravine, and didn't realize until it was too late that I was free climbing, because then I couldn't reverse climb. And I assumed at this point that I was not going to make it because I was way too high up. I won't even tell you how far up I was, but I was on a vertical, and I climbed to the very top, and there were a couple of seminarians at the base, and I asked them to pray. And I actually got to the very top of the cliff, and the last rock that I grabbed onto, thinking that I was safe and home free, was loose. And so I fell a long, long, long way. And eventually I landed, and I was like an Olympic dismount. I just couldn't believe it. I asked our Lord and Our Lady to save me on the way down, and I just threw my hands up and said, I made it. And thanked God and got out of there. That's my guardian angel. God's intercession and his governance. Why he wanted to keep me around, I am not quite sure. But the ultimate reality is that he, by virtue of his providence and by the instrumentation of his governance, saved me. Now that's the physical life. We've spoken also about the way they counteract malevolent spirits, and we've spoken also about the impediments they put in your way. How angels will put obstacles, barriers, just to make you pause, to check you, to make you think, to enlighten you for a moment, to say, turn your gaze to heaven. Don't do this. You can jump over each of those hurdles, but the hurdles will be there. If you're living in a state of grace in particular, you'll be very sensitive to those things. Watch for them. If you're going to go do something that's sinful, watch how someone calls you. Watch how your car doesn't start. Watch how the electronics don't work. Watch how the lights all of a sudden go off, or someone knocks at the door. Things that you could never have orchestrated outside of the providence of God and the workings of the guardian angel and his clever ways, because he's free. God's governance is to do one thing in terms of get you to a particular point, but the way in which the angel does it is his own unique brilliance, and yours might be different than mine.